First of all, I'd like to thank CACI and Adobe for inviting me here today. It's a pleasure to be here amongst so many great brands and get the opportunity to tell you about our story. For Chelsea, it's extremely important for us to be outperforming our competitors both on and off the pitch. And today I'm going to give you a bit of an overview of how we look to address how we engage with our fans around the world. So there's a lot changed in football in the last 10 years. I mean, I suppose to put it in context, I'll kind of give you my story as a football fan when I was growing up. So I was kind of late to football. I started to like football when I went to school. A lot of my friends liked football, and I didn't really know where to start in a team. A lot of my friends, their dads told them their team they supported, and that was the team they were stuck with. So I went home and turned around to my dad and said, I want to support a football team. Now, my mum and dad didn't like football, weren't particularly interested in the slightest. So my dad said, right, go down to the shops, pick yourself up a sticker album, and then go and pick your team. So I thought, sounds very straightforward, quite excited. So I marched my way down to the newsagents, picked up my Premier League sticker album, started browsing through the teams. I didn't know the difference between Man City and Derby, to be honest, but I was just looking at the colours. And then I went up to him and said, right, Dad, I want to support this team. And he went, no. Okay. This one? No. This one? And eventually, I landed on Chelsea. And for a man who didn't, like sport very much, he denoted my football team. And that was kind of how I became a Chelsea fan. And from that point on, I've always been a Chelsea fan. Now, over the last year, specifically in the last 10 years, a lot has changed in football. The game is now truly a global game. You have fans watching the Premier League from all over the world. NBC do a fantastic job of broadcasting all of our games live on a Saturday. So you've got this new generation of fans that's been experienced to the game week in, week out. To put it in context, you kind of have to look at the amount of money that Sky and BT paid for the rights for the Premier League for season 16 to 19. 5.1 billion to host the rights, to put football on their platforms. I mean, we all work in digital here, yeah, right? I mean, everyone's probably sat there and binged on their Netflix dosage and sat there and got their catch-up TV and done everything they can to avoid, the adverts and whatever you want to watch on television. You don't really wait for it. But there's still one appointment to call, and that's sport, and that's football. And that's the passion point, and that's what makes it very, very exciting. And that passion is kind of overlaid everywhere in the world. And with our success and with the growth for the Premier League, we've seen a huge growth in our fan base. 2,000% in the last 10 years. To put that in context, our research tells us we have around about 7 million followers in the UK. India, we have 30 million. China, 100 million. These numbers are huge. The problem is we've only got one Stamford Bridge, and that's our home of football. 42,000 seats, average 24 games a season. Getting a ticket, you'd be lucky. 90,000 members, all paid the privilege to get in a queue for tickets. On average in a game, there's about 15,000 that are available. So even the people who are that dedicated can't get to the game. And that's just people in the UK. Then you've got geography. I mean, and the District Line, which comes into Fulham Broadway at Stamford Bridge, unless they extend that to Manhattan, there's no way you're going to be getting to Stamford Bridge. But there's this huge, huge audience that's so passionate out there, and it's a great opportunity for us to engage with it. So, 18 months ago, I sat down and put together a number of slides, but probably the most powerful one was this one. So you talk about opportunity, forget about technology. There's a base of nearly 500,000 people out there. Currently on social media, we've got 63 million followers across all of our connections. We don't pay to buy likes. We don't do any real paid media. Thankfully, we've just got a very, very passionate brand. That means we rank very highly. 68 million people have, 63, excuse me, it's the angle here, have opted in to engage with us via social media. Our database has grown from 4.9 million to 6.8 in one season. Now, if we could move that 500 million further down the line, even if we engage in 10% of that and have a database, 50 million consumers that we can regularly engage with, how powerful is that? How many brands out there would give that? So eventually we kicked off the project with that big ethos of how we're going to broaden the relationship with our fans internationally. We knew there was a few things we had to do. So we appointed our technical integration partners, CACI, acquired a number of different technology products, which my colleague Toby will tell you about. And we started on a number of key strategic pillars. We had to go from thinking about London to thinking the world. Now, I think global, act local is a word that's probably often used. We had to develop a number of agencies in different countries so that we could have the right people who understand the right consumers and can act in the right times and the right means. It had to be mobile first. I mean, everyone in football is checking the scores on their phone, they're following Twitter, they're doing everything. I mean, I have to get my fix of football probably about 7 or 8 times a day. On a good day, on a bad day during a match day, I'm on it constantly. And that's just me, and I'm sure there's people all over the world that are having that exact same experience. And to really take advantage of those pinch points, those times when people are really, really passionate about your brand, you have to make sure the message is perfect. And every fan is different. There is no such thing as one fan. The relationship that I have with the club is very, very different to the relationship the guy in Thailand has. So we had to make sure that experience was optimized. I'd like to now bring on stage Toby Goldblatt, CACI, who's going to give you an overview of the solution that we developed and how we implemented it.
Thanks, Jerry. So, what an amazing challenge. You know, one that you don't often get the opportunity to work with a brand that inspires so much passion as Chelsea within a digital transformation type project. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how and where and when, and Jerry and I will take some questions at the end. So a little bit about CACI, for those of you who don't know. So we're a large technology business, New York Stock Exchange listed. We run our global marketing services business out of London. And really we do 3 core things. We bring together the heady mix of digital with design and data. And we try and make the 3 things work together. Now, the technology that Adobe provides is awesome at addressing some of the challenges, but you really still need a partner to make those things happen. And we work very closely with the Adobe teams to do that. So as I say, we were very excited to be appointed by Chelsea to work on this project. And really the reason that Chelsea came to us, and Jerry's far better placed to comment on this than I am, is they were looking for one solution partner who could do all aspects, who could harness and manage the data, who could design the fan experience and understand that strategy, and could execute on the technology challenges of working with the wide range of tools that we did, including the Adobe Marketing Cloud. So that's a little bit about us, but let me tell you how we did it. So it really starts, the whole journey starts with data and customer understanding. And now that's an often used term, but in Chelsea's case, it was really, really core to the whole solution. So we looked at the data, and that's web data, customer data, transactional data, to understand fans. And we simply came to these 3 types of fans: emerging, engaging, and engaged. So let me talk to you a little bit about the fans here. So you've got Emmanuel over here, he's emerging. So very much you could typify him in that 500 million global fans that Chelsea talks about. So those fans feel as passionate about Chelsea as anyone, but their chances of actually going to visit a game in Stamford Bridge are limited. They digest their fix of Chelsea through mobile, through video, through TV. Engaging fans are very much those fans that Jerry was talking about, are following Chelsea in some degree on social media. So they've made some initial connection with the fan, with Chelsea, but really haven't gone to develop a full one-to-one relationship. And those engaged fans are those loyal fans who have been with Chelsea over many years, and have season tickets or buy tickets or are members or have some type of relationship. So why is this important, and why did we start here? And the reason we started here is because personalization is fundamental to communicating with these 3 groups effectively. This is not a one-size-fits-all solution. So just talking about how we developed the solution. So we started with fan data, understanding an individual fan, and we built a data infrastructure. Now that data infrastructure took fan data, transactional data, social data, and cookie data, and stored that in a single data platform, which we manage on Chelsea's behalf. And on top of that, we built the digital platform, which is always driven by that data and understanding. The digital platform fundamentally leverages a number of components of the Adobe Marketing Cloud integrated together into one solution. It includes Adobe, it's built on Adobe AEM, it integrates with Adobe Campaign, it's running on Adobe Analytics and Adobe Social as well as Target for personalization. The digital platform, as Jerry said, had to meet the needs of a mobile-first audience, so it had to be fully responsive and incorporated a whole bunch of other third-party technologies for live feeds, update, video, payments, social login, and had to power, this infrastructure had to power HD quality video that could stream, apps, social media, and payment capability as well. So pull all of that together. So we had quite a few guys who were pretty busy for quite a period of time. But it didn't stop there. Really then, to complete this fan engagement, it was the ability to campaign and communicate with that fan base in whatever way was most appropriate across those different touch points. So again, we used the Marketing Cloud to do that, linking together Campaign, Adobe Social, and Adobe Target with the data that we'd been able to store and capture to drive best-in-class email, to drive social media, to drive on-site behavioral targeting, and to drive some other specific offline channels like contact centers and DM where they were used infrequently but were still used. And in that way, the whole platform worked together. Now, it's really, really rare that we have a client that has the vision of being able to do all of this in one go and is looking at trying to develop their data platform, their digital platform, and their communications platform at one time. But it was required in order to meet the challenge that Chelsea and Jerry in particular were facing. So it's not just about the platform. Also, you need inspiring design. As I said, it needs to be mobile first. You know, people want their sports news in real time. It's got to be frequently updated. It's got to be updated a minute a match finishes. We need match previews. And we had to fit within the requirements of the Chelsea brand guidelines as well, which were, as you'd imagine with a brand like Chelsea, quite well defined. And we had to adapt those to a digital audience that was mobile first and could be adapted in international markets. So later this year, Chelsea will be extending the platform into international markets using non-Western character sets. In how many markets, Jerry? Is it six?
Yeah,
six Asian markets. So the design had to meet all of those requirements as well as integrating all these technology partners. So not necessarily the most straightforward thing to do and engage the audience. But again, it came back to designing for those three fan groups we talked about up front. And then just want to touch on personalization. To deliver a best-in-class fan experience for those emerging, engaging, and engaged fans, we needed to leverage personalization. What personalization means for Chelsea is it means you give appropriate content to somebody who's under 16. It means that you don't give content to somebody perhaps in Thailand about tickets for an upcoming game when they're not likely to be able to get those tickets for an upcoming game. Where you promote hospitality packages to people it's relevant for, not the whole fan base. And where you engage people in a membership and fan experience across the whole platform.
This was a real big part for us because, you know, if any of you guys have the pleasure of like browsing our site, you'll probably look at it and see it's very, very clean. For us, we've got a lot of commitments to commercial partners. We have objectives to engage further with our fans, and we wanted to do that in a smart way. I mean, if you go across most media sites, you'll see banners everywhere about, you know, buy this offer, buy that offer. It's not consumer friendly. I mean, people aren't thinking about the customer. For us, we've got two clear panels. We call them trust panels because that's what we believe they're designed to be, for people to feel closest to them. And they're delivering the right message. And we genuinely believed, I mean, this was something that you can imagine, we are a media organisation as well. We're publishers. We've got a lot of commitments to commercial partners and the business. And we're saying, look, the inventory that we had, we're going to shrink it right down to 2 placements. But we're going to make sure that those placements are served to the right people. It took a long time to get through, but the important thing is that that customer experience is very, very key and very, very premium. And we're delivering even better now on our click-through rates to our partners. So they're getting a much better experience, the customer's happy, and our brand, retains that high-end quality that we aspire for.
I guess the other thing about personalization is it's a way of leveraging the data. So the data that we were able to harness, behavioral data, transactional data, and customer data, doesn't just power, from a personalization point of view, the trust panels. It powers what videos you recommended to watch, what content you might be interested in, what player you might have pre-selected. So it really powers the whole experience. So within a framework of a consistent Chelsea fan experience, it's able to be personalised based on behaviour and some degree of targeting as well.
This bit's really key to us. So, it's not just a personalisation of our marketing, it's a personalisation of our content. When you get to understand our fan base and you look at the emerging fans out there, there are fans in the Far East that follow idols. They will adore Hazard, and he will be the main pull for them. Then Chelsea will be second. So being able to design an experience, so when the person in Asia accesses our site, they're getting Hazard content, is the way that we turn their affiliation from being a fan of Hazard to be a fan of Chelsea Football Club.
And I guess what we were able to do was not just stop with the personalisation on the platform itself. So we were able to bring that through, that same personalisation off the core data set, into campaigning, whether that's email, social, or display. And some of you may have seen a product that CACI have built around this called Email Studio. One of the challenges we see with personalisation is the volume and velocity of different types of campaigning that need to be executed. I was talking yesterday at the Adobe partner briefing, and I said, we've created as an industry what I call a beautiful monster. We have to feed this personalisation thing with content and creative at all times. And it's really hard. You've got a day job to do, and you've got to do 45 variants of a piece of content to deliver to all the different markets. And what we've created with this Email Studio product is a way of doing that simply on top of the Adobe Marketing Cloud. But for Chelsea, we've been able to execute this to enable triggered dynamic communications, all using a common asset management framework that comes with Adobe AEM.
This was, for our strategy, extremely important for us. One of the key bits when we started this journey was almost what I like to call decentralizing digital and CRM. As being part of this journey for nearly 7 years now, it used to be a bunch of geeks in the corner. They had to do, you guys do the querying and put the analysts together and send the campaign out. You build those assets for us. But for us, we had to almost educate the business, and I think, of everything we've done, the cultural change in the business was probably the biggest challenge, was that, you're a marketeer. This is what you're expected to do these days. Let's make the tools easy for you. And the Email Studio today means that an area which was effectively the responsibility of 2 people is now expanded across our whole marketing department. There are marketeers that, you wouldn't exactly class as digital savvy that are flying through these pieces now and publishing campaigns at a very good way. And that, for me, is my key success. When you start getting marketeers who aren't digitally savvy start to use this piece, and you get business people in the organisation who weren't very data savvy asking questions and asking more, they are big success pieces for us.
So just hand you back to Jerry, who's going to tell you about something that's coming up pretty soon.
Okay, thank you. Hurrah. So just to kind of give you a little bit of a sneak preview of something that we're working on, we hope to be releasing very, very shortly in the summer, is loyalty. It's something which we talk about in football quite a lot. And, to be able to give loyalty to our overseas fans is quite a bit of a challenge. We took an existing program that we've had at Chelsea Football Club for the last 10 years, which is simple EPOS rewards program. You walk into the stadium, you buy your shirt, you tap your card, you get rewarded points. You could use those points in our hotel, at any of our concessions. And at every touch point, you're building up and you're getting rewarded for your transactions. So we're showing that as a fan, we value conversing with us and then purchasing with us, and we're going to reward you for it. The problem is it only really suits 42,000 people. So how do you take a loyalty scheme that is transaction-based and opening up to the world and give them that same sort of feeling? So we created a product called Chelsea Rewards. It's heavily gamification-led and will actually be central to our website. We'll be actually rewarding fans overseas for their behaviour. So come onto our site, log in, blog. We'll give you a reward. And not only that, we'll give you a badge. Here's a challenge that you've completed. Thank you very much. And for that behaviour, here's some points. And the more and more points you do, the more you can burn against products. Now, it's not going to be really easy for us to send a shirt out there or to send pin badges out. So we created a number of different virtual products which we know we can easily manoeuvre. So exclusive photography, wallpapers, and video. That's a big thing that our international audience wants, to be closer to the team. So we're delivering them assets which they couldn't normally get and rewarding them for their interactions. And this is key for us because it allows those fans to feel like they're getting something back for their support. And although they can't make it to Stamford Bridge, we're still caring about them wherever they may be. So I kind of got this quote up, which I sort of have in my office, which is quite inspiring for me as a Chelsea fan and a massive Mourinho fan. When he came back, he started talking about, we're building something brilliant. And I think that I take that ethos that he's doing in terms of what he's investing into his team, and we apply to what we're doing. This is just the start of what we're doing. We believe that if we build these platforms and we engage with our fan base and keep the consumer at the heart, we'll be able to grow our fan base even further and take advantage of the fantastic marketing platform that the Premier League has developed and the success of the team on the pitch.